The thing about Mexican people
And their children.
is that they are people. They're people. They're human beings.
Please stop separating them, putting them into cages. End of PSA. Theme song.
La 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 la. Here we go. It's the Bible reloaded, logic explosion, like Jesus and Moses, but it's Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken, so get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up a new and stop what you're doing. It's Bible reloaded time. They call it debated, the fears will hate it, like talking and taking, but it's Hugo and Jake. So I'm with the show then, it's not candy coated, it's the Bible reloaded with Hugo and Jake. With Hugo and Jake.
Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
I love taco bowls.
And this is Hugo and Jake. Welcome back to the Atheist Bible Study. Today we're getting to something that we've been wanting to get to for quite a while, and that's
Yeah.
one of the more famous stories of the Old Testament, and that is Jonah and the whale.
Jonah. And it doesn't say Jonah and the whale at all, does it?
No, but I'm saying that so people know what we're talking about, because not a whale in here.
Not a whale. So we're going to read the whole thing from start to finish.
Yep.
Because it's a little over a page.
So, here we go.
I really thought it was longer. I've read this. I have notes in here. I don't know if you can see them very well. But you're like, oh, we only got like a page. We can read the whole thing. I was like, there's no way it's only a page. I remember reading this. It felt longer. No, in fact, much shorter by about 2 pages than I thought it was.
So Jonah, chapter 1. Jonah flees from the Lord. That should go well. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. This is interesting in that often throughout the Bible we've had these different prophets, and the closest, we talked about this before this, you brought up, the closest was maybe Moses when he had said, "Are you sure, Lord? I'm not good with
Yeah,
words,"
I
and
would
then
argue
Aaron spoke for him for a while.
Maybe Jacob because he wrestled, but like...
This is a prophet who has been told by the Lord, hey, go to a place and spread my message, and he's like, "Whoa, no, and tries to flee.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. This is the beginning of a narrative of sort of the reluctant servant of the Lord. You know?
And this is... Conversion stories in the Old Testament aren't really conversion stories, they're conquest stories. This is a conversion story, which is actually pretty interesting, and I think it has to do with just kind of the times, and, things, whether they like it or not, do tend to get more progressive over time. It's just the way people are. We have new ideas about old ones. And so this is interesting. The idea that a protagonist, kind of in this story, would even consider fleeing God tells you kind of not a lot, but a good. It's a good morsel to get from the society at the time.
Sure. Then the Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. All the sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his own god, and they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. But Jonah had gone below deck, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep.
Hey, Jonah, we're sinking. Nap. I'm gonna take a nap, I think.
Maybe Jonah was right on this one. Maybe he's just a lazy asshole, and God really should have picked someone else.
Yeah.
The captain went to him and said, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us so that we will not perish." Then the sailors said to each other, "Come, let us cast lots to find out who is responsible for this calamity." They cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. So basically, if you don't know, it's sort of like drawing straws.
Yeah.
And Jonah drew the short straw, and as we all know, that's a 100% accurate way to determine who God is punishing in any given situation. If there's a storm in your house, if a tornado's coming, like in that McGee and Me episode,
Sure.
maybe you, your sister, your biracial friend, again, McGee and Me, don't worry about it, grab some straws, whoever pulls the short one, cut their head off.
I don't know if... They don't cut Jonah's head off. Okay.
No, I'm just saying.
But McGee and Me, that place gets severe.
Yeah.
the Wild West out there.
That kind of schizophrenia.
Also, the people on the boat. It implies that like there's a probability involved that the other gods that these people are legitimately powerful enough.
It gets more confusing as it goes on.
Yeah, to influence storms.
So they asked Jonah, "Tell us, who is responsible for making all this trouble for us? What kind of work do you do? Where do you come from? What is your country? From what people are you?" He answered, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land."
I have a note on this.
Oh,
The word worship is different in the King James Version.
what is it?
Instead it says, I am a Hebrew and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven. A little bit different message.
Yep. This terrified them, and they asked, "What have you done?" They knew he was running away from the Lord, because he had already told them so. It's literally in parentheses! Look!
It's a parenthetical
It's-
in the story.
Because he had already told them so. Okay. So, why did you cast lots then?
They didn't. That sounds like they forced the straw on them.
Take the fucking straw. Jonah. The sea was getting rougher and rougher, so they asked him, "What should we do to you to make the sea calm down for us?" "Pick me up and throw me into the sea," he replied, "and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that there is a great storm upon you." Instead, the men did their best to row back to land.
They're like, oh! Like, I understand why you may feel it's your fault, but hear me out. We could row away from the storm.
Yeah, storms happen on the sea. We're fishermen, by the way. We know how boats work.
Yeah. And also, we're pretty used to, weather, since we're human beings that live and are alive. And so, yeah, I'm not gonna be party to your murder.
Throwing them off plan B. But they could not row back, for the sea grew even wilder than before. Oh, time for plan B. Then they cried out to the Lord, "Please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man, for you, Lord, have done as you pleased."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good clapback for God. You're gonna fucking kill us for killing a guy? I heard about the wandering for 40 years. I know about that shit. Then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm.
Why don't they just pick him back up?
I think it would, if they picked him back up, it would have been like the second his toes left the water, storm comes back.
I would test it, I'm just
Dip
saying.
him back in,
I
storm
would just
stops.
test it to see if it was a coincidence.
That makes sense. At this, the men greatly feared the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord, and made vows to him. Now, the Lord...
So, they're converted now.
Yeah.
Because of, weather.
I'd like to know how that was known, though. Who wrote down that after he was thrown off the boat,
Jonah.
But Jonah was thrown off the boat at that point. He was already in the whale, big fish.
He's not there yet.
But he will be. He's already off the boat, but someone had to write this like, "Oh, and all the people on the boat praised God and gave sacrifices to him."
Does he sink immediately? I imagine he can tread water for a bit.
Did they start immediately? And he's just like, kind of like, "Oh, I guess they're converted." That's nice.
That's my guess. I don't know. Because this is purely historical,
It's
of course.
weirdly written like a third-person omniscient person is just writing a fictional story. It's weird. Anyway, Jonah's prayer. Now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord.
Okay, couple things. Ages ago, I took a class that went over this book, specifically Jonah, and the word in KJV, instead of "now the Lord provided a huge fish," the Lord prepared a huge fish, implying a spontaneous creation. And the arguments I had against, in favor of Jonah being real, were God made a special fish for this scenario to protect Jonah instead of a submarine.
Okay. Do we have to explain
Yes.
that
Yes.
you can't live in a fish for 3 days underwater? You would asphyxiate.
Yeah.
I'd assume a fish's internals are full of
Full of goops.
They're full of
Full
goops.
of goop juice?
Full of goops. If you're in their stomach, I assume they have some form of stomach acid, whatever they use to dissolve their
Sure.
food.
Even magic fish
Sure.
probably have biology.
You're gonna suffocate if there's water in there to counteract the pressure. You said something about water bladders or
Swim
bladders. I don't know how the pressurization
they wouldn't
of fishes
necessarily
work.
have water in their stomach, but they
Okay.
might not have water. I don't know.
I'd imagine they have more water in them than I have in me.
Well, they're fish.
Sure.
They breathe it.
Anyway, the point is he's underwater and he's in a big fucking fish. He can't live 3 days inside a fish.
Maybe he ate the goop juice. Maybe the goop juice is like manna.
Ugh. Inside whale.
Actual arguments Jake has heard in real life from a person in front of him.
That makes me sad.
Yeah. That person votes.
It's okay.
No, it's not. That person votes. I just said it out loud.
The country's almost over. It's fine. In my distress I called the Lord, and he answered me. From the deep in the realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry. You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas.
Is the Mediterranean Sea the heart of the seas?
To them, it's the heart of the seas.
The heart of...
If you zoom in real close,
There's some seas out there, buddy.
It's the body of water that he is most familiar. And the current swirled about me. All your waves and breaks swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look again towards the holy temple. Your engulfing waters threatened me. The deep surrounded me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head.
Hold on. He said the current swirled, the waves and breakers swept... I thought it got real calm after he got in the water.
Yeah, well, immediately he got, thrown into a fish, though, too. So.
Oh. Fair.
To the roots of the mountains I sank down. The earth beneath barred me in forever. But you, Lord, my God, brought my life up from the pit. When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols turn away from God's love for them, but I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed I will make good. I will say salvation comes from the Lord.
So at this point, Jonah, after running away, gets thrown into the Mediterranean and is like, whoops, nah, you were right. I'm going to do the thing you asked.
Yep. And the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land.
Yeah.
So he got eaten by a fish, a whale, as people colloquially know it. They didn't have word for whale back then as compared to great fish, I wouldn't imagine.
Actually, they had a word for whale.
Did they? That was separate from great fish. So this is literally giant fish.
Yeah, they had
Weird.
a word for whale. I don't know the word for whale, but I remember having this discussion, and I wrote it in the book.
Okay.
Because the biblical scholar that taught me this said it to me. Oh. So take it up with him if you disagree. But they had a word for whale because whales, they're not that rare.
Okay.
I mean, they happen. Porpoises and stuff exist. I don't know. I'm sure that there's dolphins and stuff in the Mediterranean. Actually, I know there are. So, they knew blowhole fish happened.
Chapter 3. Jonah goes to Nineveh. Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. Go to the great city of Nineveh and proclaim to it the message I give you. I think at the end of that there was a little implied nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Don't make me put you in the whale again.
Yeah.
Jonah obeyed the word of the Lord. Oh, look at that. Whales do wonders. And went to Nineveh. Now Nineveh was a very large city. It took 3 days to go through it. That would be, something like, I looked this up right before we did this, actually. It would be 60 square miles if it took 3 days to cross it on foot.
60 square miles? Wow. That's probably not what that was.
It was basically, the thing I looked at this said it would be slightly larger than the city of Los Angeles.
That's not how big this place was.
Jonah began by going a day's journey into the city, proclaiming 40 days and Nineveh will be overthrown. The Ninevites believed God. A fast was proclaimed, and all of them, from the greatest to the least, put on sackcloth. I'd like to point out, just a random traveler came to this city. He said, you're doomed in 40 days! By the way, we were not even sure this is what God told him to say. We just assumed that. And everyone's on board immediately. Oh shit, this stranger who just got into town smelling like the inside of a fish says, oh my god, we're gonna be doomed in 40 days? We better put on our mourning clothes. Their sackcloth and stuff.
Mourning? Oh,
Mourning.
with a U.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like,
No.
ooh, time for some flapjacks.
No.
This is my sackcloth.
No. This is
PJs.
God's. These are the gods mad at us clothes again.
That's funny.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
When Jonah's warning reached the king of Nineveh, he rose from his throne, took off his royal robes, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat down in the dust. This is the proclamation he issued in Nineveh. By the decree of the king and his nobles, do not let people or animals, herds or flocks taste anything. Do not let them eat or drink. But let people and animals be covered with sackcloth. Let everyone call urgently on God. Let them give up their evil ways and their violence. Who knows, God may yet relent with compassion from his fierce anger so that we will not perish. When God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil ways, he relented and did not bring on them the destruction that he had threatened.
So he changes his mind.
Yeah. This is the one time when God's like, I'm gonna destroy you, motherfuckers, if you don't get your shit together. And immediately everyone was like, okay. And he was like,
bro, hey, whoa.
and he was like, oh,
It worked.
I don't know what to do when they listen to me.
What's that? What's going on?
Do
here?
I still?
No.
It's just it's like a reflex at this point. I'll get another chance next time.
I mean, he did it with
Next time.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Not even one of them was. There was one wicked person.
Yeah. Chapter 4. Jonah's anger at the Lord's compassion. This is exactly what you think it is. But to Jonah, this seemed very wrong, and he became angry. He prayed to the Lord, "Isn't this what I said, Lord, when I was still at home? This is what I tried to forestall by fleeing the Tarshish. I knew that you were a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love."
When? When has that been a thing?
They're starting to try and Christianity's just around the corner, so they're starting to gaslight you into it. Like,
Oh, I see.
like, oh no, he's super nice, right? Wink, wink.
What?
A God who relents from sending calamity. Now, Lord, take away my life, for it is better for me to die than to live.
Because he saved the lives of a city.
Yes, he's mad.
Larger than Los Angeles.
He's mad he successfully converted Nineveh. But the Lord replied, "Is it right for you to be angry?" Jonah had gone out and sat down at a place east of the city. There he made himself a shelter, sat in its shade, and waited to see what would happen to the city. Then the Lord provided a leafy plant, and made it grow up over Jonah to give shade for his head, and to ease his discomfort. And Jonah was very happy about the plant. But at dawn the next day, God provided a worm, which chewed the plant so that it withered. When the sun rose, God provided a scorching east wind, and the sun blazed on Jonah's head so that he grew faint. He wanted to die, and said, "It would be better for me to die than to live."
He didn't have AC, so he's like, fuck it. Nah.
Yeah. But God said to Jonah, "Is it right for you to be angry about the plant?" "It is," he said, "and I'm so angry I wish I were dead." Jonah, go to your room. You have school tomorrow. Come
Come
on.
on, buddy. Come on.
I know Little League's tough. It's tough,
You
but
know, you're not gonna hit every ball out of the park. You know, it's coach pitch right now. They're not trying to strike you out. Just choke up a little bit and knock her out of there. And oh, he's listening to Avril Lavigne. Looks like we got a gay on our hands. Well, never mind. Kill yourself. It's a Christian parent.
Yeah.
He's very upset at the homosexual.
yeah.
Yeah.
Christianity kills.
Please don't kill yourself if you're a homosexual. I'll take you in.
But the Lord said, "You have been concerned about this plant, though you did not tend to it or make it grow. It sprang up overnight and died overnight. And should I not have a concern for the great city of Nineveh, in which there are more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left hand, and also many animals?"
I'm not gonna kill the retardeds.
Also, 120,000 people over an area the size of Los Angeles. That's a pretty sparsely populated city. As far as, like, per area per capita.
Okay. I have the theory on the plant is it might have been a gourd. I don't know why there's even a theory on who fucking cares about the plant.
Anyway, so that's Jonah. It's essentially, it's a conversion story. It's all it is. Jonah at first doesn't want to come to the Lord. The Lord tells him to go change a city to being on his side, and he does so.
And then
It's a lead up right to Christianity.
get some sailors, and then at the end, kind of the parable, if you will, because now we're writing in parables. You know, he had an expectation going in, like Nineveh's gonna get destroyed. I'm here to tell him. And then when it didn't get destroyed, the parable is, well, I gave you a plant, and then it died the next day. You should have no expectations whatsoever.
Sure.
It's a plant. That's not a good argument.
Just listen to God, I guess. That's is the point.
But also, he's compassionate.
For the
You know,
first
like
time
when he
ever,
almost drowns someone, puts them inside of a living fish for 3 days, and then he chooses not to do a murder thing he was going to. That's compassion.
I think it would have been compassionate.
Holding a gun to your head, then going like, nah, you're cool. You're a good guy. There's no reason. That's compassion. Alrighty.
So that's it. Next time we'll finish off with the rest of the minor prophets, I'm thinking. And then after that, New Testament.
Yeah, we're real fucking close.
I'm talking maybe like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Gonna be good, and maybe
Get
I'll
ready
be
for that.
Read guy.
That would probably work out better for
I think
everyone.
I'll do Read guy. We'll do one episode of Read guy, and we'll see how people like. We'll gauge it. We'll dip a toe.
You can always...
I'm a good Read guy.
Good for you. You can always follow us on Twitter at PapaBirdJake.
Where I read good. You can follow Hugo Reloaded, where he read gooder.
You can always follow... you can follow us on... he's got a Twitch channel, also PapaBirdJake, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, it's actual Jake.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
My bad. Actual Jake for Twitch. I'm a big time Twitch. Very important there.
If you want to help support the show, we also do Patreon. There's a link to that in the description.
Yeah.
All our goals and stuff are on there if you want to check it out.
Indeed. Oh, and subscribe to this channel to make sure you get the New Testament when it comes out. And what are we doing Friday? We're doing a JBP, or we're doing a question thingy.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a Jordan Peterson video Friday. If you haven't seen our new series on Jordan Peterson, check it out.
I genuinely think you ought to.
So, until next time, I'm Hugo.
I'm Jake.
This has been the Atheist Bible Study on Hugo and Jake. They really should, like, the cages. Don't put
They're
people in
still
cages.
folks.
Don't do... This is bad.
You know?
This is bad.
Yeah. I don't know. Just don't do that. Like, and someone might go like, Barack Obama deported as many people. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm fine. Like, Barack Obama isn't in charge anymore. You should fix it if you're in charge. I'm just throwing that out there. Just saying. Hillary Clinton's not in charge either. Jeff Sessions, his church set forth formal church fuck yous to him.
Did they?
His church was like, you broke all our church laws. Over 200 people signed it from his personal church.
Good.
Good.
Monsters.
Church law.